Multiple AEW stars are written off indefinitely. Plus, a major free agent reveals their future plans, and the latest WWE Hall of Fame inductee has been revealed. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. New season of AEW Dynamite last night. Lots of noteworthy things coming out of it, including some shenanigans from Matthew and Nicholas Jackson.
Ooh, my goodness gracious me. So yes, the Young Bucks addressed the crowd on Dynamite last night with some big announcements. Now, the first one being that due to attacking two officials in the match at Revolution, Adam Page was suspended indefinitely from AEW without pay, everybody. Oh my goodness. But in real life, Page is taking an undisclosed amount of time off for personal reasons. However, that wasn't the only thing. Now, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson also publicly fired Kenny Omega with tears in their eyes for failing to meet his contractual obligations. They were like, he's not turning up for matches for no good apparent reason. But obviously Omega's been sidelined with diverticulitis for his return, and his return date, is unclear as well.
Kenny Omega responded to the news with this tweet and that face. He looks delighted about it, doesn't he?
He sure does.
Now, it obviously explains away where Hangman Page is going and where Kenny Omega's going. Obviously, Omega's not been factored into TV plans for some time and won't be for some time, but at least gives him a storyline bit of beef to come back to. Hangman Page going as well is a bit of a hit, but you know what? I think based on where the pieces fall on this episode of Dynamite, I think that those holes will be filled quite quickly.
I agree. Me and Adam before were talking about obviously we saw everything kick off at Revolution, and we're like, this is the Hangman Page that we wanted to see for a little while, and it's sad to perhaps not see him on TV for a little bit, but the absence does make the heart grow fonder. And when he finally does come back, it'll be very, very cool. However, before all that happens, we've got some other exciting stuff. So during this whole segment, right, Eddie Kingston came out to confront the Bucks, and he ended up getting double teamed by the EVPs. But the fight was interrupted by Kazuchika Okada.
That's him from New Japan that time, and AEW that time.
It sure is,
Debuted in AEW that time.
He shocked the world, however, by hitting a Rainmaker, not on one of the EVPs, but instead on Eddie Kingston himself, before being officially announced as the newest member of the Elite in a shocking twist. It was very cool. Okada left with Matthew and Nicholas, but not before gesturing to Eddie that he wanted his titles. Okada's signing was then made official on AEW social shortly after, and the new look Elite will be in action on Collision, competing in a trios match against... who knows yet? We will find out soon.
Yeah,
very cool.
Very obvious by...
Very obvious.
Okada, which is, I want the title, or
yes.
Have you seen my nice new belt I bought from Top Man?
It was a very nice belt.
Not to be confused with holding it up a bit further and angling the hands, because that becomes now Matrix Light Our Darkest Hour. You're there with me, that's good. Okada as a heel, thoughts?
Buzzing for it.
Buzzing.
Do you know
for
what?
it.
Because as much as I was excited to see Okada in AEW, as I think a lot of us were, I think also a lot of us were like, we sort of know what we're getting anyway. Still excited for it. It'll be good. This was a nice swerve and something that I'm very excited to see play out over the next few weeks and months. Also, when Kenny comes back, we get Okada and Omega again, I think. Obviously, that's where it leads, and that's exciting.
It seems like we're going that way. Okada and a very healthy Omega.
Yeah.
Would be a lovely time for all involved. Will Osprey made his first Dynamite appearance since signing with AEW. He beat Carl Fletcher on Dynamite last night, and then had a little stare down with Bryan Danielson. Ooh. What are you doing?
The things were kicking
Call
up
the
hot.
police.
It was a very strong season starter, I thought. I'm really excited for this as well. It feels like we're not even just waiting to get into the dream matches for Will Osprey. We are literally just going straight for them. And I guess there's quite a few to be had in AEW though as well. So even though we're starting off strong, it's not going to be, it's only the start of Osprey's tremendous AEW run, I believe.
And also with Danielson as well, I think there's lots of conversation about how long Danielson will be around for.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get Osprey and Danielson whilst we've still got them both in good form. And oh yes, please, that would be lovely. Ooh, 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 scrummy, scrummy, scrummy. A title match was announced for a future episode of Dynamite last night as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So it's going to be the third showdown between Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Now, after Copeland attacked the patriarchy on Dynamite last night, Copeland challenged Cage to to an I Quit match on for the TNT title on Dynamite in Toronto on March 20th. And then moments later, Tony Khan made the match official as well.
And he went, yeah, you can have it. That's
yeah,
fine.
Christian Cage stole a car and rode away. And then Adam Copeland was like, guess what? I Quit match, Toronto, which is going to be amazing. Hopefully that's the place where the title switches hands. I've enjoyed the feud so far. I think it's been good, but I think it's also felt maybe a little bit drawn out, in my opinion, at least, anyway. So I feel like this could be where it finally does switch.
It's weird, isn't it? Because this is all perception, because you feel like it's been drawn out. I feel like it's been rushed.
You feel like it's been rushed?
In the sense that, like, Copeland arrived at Wrestle Dream and was almost was squared up immediately with Christian Cage. I think Cage should have should have had the match. Cage should have beat him, and then Copeland has nothing to do with Cage for a year, and then they find their way back to each other and do it that way. Yeah, Cage could go, right, I refuse to defend this title against
I could have seen that happening as well. Yeah, that would have been cool.
But isn't that fun that we've both seen the same thing and drawn very different conclusions from it? I think varying opinions are important. You know,
agrees.
Karen Jarrett thinks her team should be called Elite Heat. I think they should be called Total Non-Stop Arseholes. Karen Jarrett responded to this by telling me I was number one, which is very kind of you, Karen. Thank you. It's lovely of you. Bless you. Number one in my heart today is Bull Nakano.
Yes, I'm super buzzing for her. So ESPN have reported that Bull Nakano will join Paul Heyman in the 2024 class of the WWE Hall of Fame. The ceremony will take place, obviously, over WrestleMania 40 weekend in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Nakano told ESPN, during my active years, I was able to get championship belts in Japan, America, and Mexico, but just one thing was missing. I didn't get inducted into the Hall of Fame. I wanted this. Finally, in 2024, in WrestleMania week, I'm able to get this. This is the top of an incredible career of one of the finest wrestlers on the planet. She started wrestling at the age of 15 back in the 80s. She very quickly became the top star of All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling up until the mid-90s. She came to the WWF, where her and Alundra Blaze had some very, not underrated by us as fans, but underrated by creative at the time. Didn't get the time and love that they really should have had, but regardless, they had some bangers. It was a feud that transitioned over to WCW when Alundra Blaze became Medusa. There was a titanic clash between those two at the Egg Dome during her WWF years as well, but that's just a tiny part of the incredible litany of work that Bull Nakano's had. A legendary feud with Aja Kong, former CMLL Women's World Champion, the first CMLL Women's World Champion, and multiple championships across multiple continents. Bull Nakano is an absolute force of nature and a pro golfer.
Yeah, she is. That was the one thing I remember years and years ago, doing like a list and being like, oh, she's a golfer now, and she looks nothing like what she used to look like either. Tremendous talent. I'm genuinely so buzzing for her because she is amazing. She was amazing in the ring, and the stuff that she did in WWE, where she won the title, didn't she, in the Tokyo Dome, and then
is it the Egg Dome?
The Egg Dome.
The Egg Dome.
The Egg Dome, and then because it was called
Dr. Robotnik.
What was it called again? It was called something like WWF The Big Egg or something. It was something like that. Genuinely.
The Big Egg.
I can't remember what it was. And then obviously the match at SummerSlam in '94 as well was just tremendous too, like really good. Really happy that she's getting the recognition that she deserves.
Pull up some Bull Nakano All Japan matches today and have a lovely time with it. It's like watching wrestling in a time machine, because the not just Bull Nakano, but a lot of the performers from that All Japan class of the mid-90s wrestled like wrestlers would do 20 years later.
Yes,
so wonderful. Do take some time to do that today. Hey, you know what? I want to give some props to this as well. Amazing to have Bull Nakano going in. Absolutely well deserved. But this is Triple H's first Hall of Fame that he is orchestrating. So Paul Heyman, Bull Nakano, potentially Haku.
Ooh,
that's what we heard the other day.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's tasty, that.
That's doing all right.
I'm excited for that, especially for, obviously, Bull Nakano, as we just spoke about there. Definitely Paul Heyman too. one of the best storytellers out there. And part of me really doesn't want any sort of bloodline WrestleMania shenanigans pouring over into it. Because I just want to hear him tell stories. That's all I want.
That's all we want in it. It's just Heyman stories, and hopefully we'll get them at WrestleMania at the Hall of Fame. And for the latest wrestling news throughout the day, you can check out Cultaholic.com. Keys.
Love you, bye.